I follow some of the news in Spanish from Latin America, and I saw it going around on the net and the various news networks about a letter that all of the Panamanian bishops issued about the SSPX. I'm just going to show you what they're getting so angry about. Did the SSPX buy a couple of chapels, or the thousands of people that have turned to the SSPX to offer traditional Latin Mass? What is the story here? But I'm just going to show you what they got. So what got them in bishop mode to issue this letter to all the faithful all over Panama, over I think about approximately just under 4 million Catholics supposedly in Panama got this letter over this, a shed. I kid you not. Let me show you. So when the news went out around Panama that all of the Panamanian bishops had issued a statement about the SSPX in Panama, I just thought, oh, what did they do? Did they buy some massive church? Have they got thousands of people? And then I just realised they built a shed on a house to put a chapel in. One chapel. This was back in December 2022, so over 9 months ago now. This is basically what the bishops are getting so angry about in Panama. You can see some photos here. Very nice chapel that they've added onto the house, but in reality it's all homegrown. It's a small beautiful chapel with reverence and for the Eucharist, for the liturgy, Eucharist on the tongue. And I suppose very, very beautiful young families that are part of this chapel. Now, I don't like dividing the church, and some people say you shouldn't blog too much about these polemics, but I was just thinking about the fact that all of the Panamanian bishops, and to put this in context, it's a similar Catholic population in Panama to Ireland, not miles apart. Similar Catholic population to Ireland, and one small tiny chapel in a shed on the side of the house gets a letter from all the Panamanian bishops telling the Catholics, look, the SSPX don't have canonical status, they're schismatics, they don't have, it's not listed to avail of the sacraments, which technically is not true. Because if a Catholic went to that chapel to go to confession, you can licitly and validly go to confession with the priest of the Society of St. Pius X. The Pope has said this. After the Year of Mercy, he expressly published a letter on that specific topic saying you can licitly and validly go to confession. I remember that letter very well. I studied it, I read it, I understood it. He also issued a letter that Catholics can avail of marriage, and the SSPX will go to the local bishop to get permission, which happens here in Ireland, for example. So, and during that marriage, there's mass. So, I understand, there's lots of issues there with the society. They don't have canonical status. It's irregular, and there's been a lot of dialogue over the last number of years. And, we can't ignore the fact that the church is hierarchical. We must operate under the jurisdiction of the bishops. Otherwise, we destroy the unity in the church. I understand this very, very well. I suppose the point I'm going to make here is well over 500,000 Catholics in Panama have left the Catholic Church over the last decades to become Protestants. That's a reality. Well over 500,000 Catholics have left the Catholic Church in Panama to become Protestants over the last 50 years. And where is their get up and go? Where is their pastoral response to that? When you weigh it up, a tiny chapel in a shed, and you compare it to the massive exodus of Catholics to Protestantism in Panama, where is the Panamanian bishop's response to that? It doesn't. I just couldn't. When I saw the communication going out, I said, "Are you really going after this tiny chapel in a shed? These few families." that love traditional Latin Mass, especially when Rome is in dialogue with the SSBX, especially when this particular group in the church has had express permission from Pope Francis to hear confessions, to offer marriages, under special circumstances. People see that, the Pope has said, he's on record of saying he doesn't consider them schismatics, and people would say, well, okay, where's the document? If the Pope is saying this, where's the document? Okay, I understand. But it doesn't make sense in the church. We will come down so heavily and forcefully on traditional Latin Mass and issue documents. We'll come down on that, and we'll make the faithful know. But when it comes to blessing unions that don't fit the faith and morals in the church, no, we don't talk about that. Oh, no. Oh, God. German bishops, off yous go. Flemish bishops, no, we don't talk about those things. No. God, this is the new church. The danger for the church today is tradition. It's the traditional faith and morals. That's the danger to the faithful. We don't talk about the fact that tens of thousands of Panamanian Catholics become Protestants every year. No. Let's forget about that. Let's focus on these trads. There are elements of there are problems in the traditional movement. I know them. Because you can become so traditional that you can leave the church. People have joined the SSBX and they've ended up becoming sedevacantists, and they've ended up right outside the church. So there are problems, well-recognized problems. I fell into that trap. You become so roped into this that it destroys your spiritual life. And there is a danger in the traditional movement. But there has to be balance as well in the church, and there has to be dialogue. Going to a traditional Latin Mass, what previous generations held sacred, Pope Benedict said it very well, can't be bad for us. Obviously not divide the church, not going against the bishops and so forth. But I do wonder in the church today, when you see what's going on, that, bishops, the German bishops are running over themselves to exit the church, to bless irregular unions, to 500,000 Catholics leaving the German church every year, churches closing, parishes closing, couldn't be bothered teaching the faith to the next generation, couldn't be bothered teaching what are the faith and morals of the church. And we just say nothing. We say nothing. We just sit back, look at Ireland. Look at Ireland when a priest in Kerry stands up and says, well, there's sin exists. We do have a thing called the Catechism of the Catholic Church. I know people don't read it. It's obsolete. When a priest timidly says up, do you know what? There are faith and morals. There is a way, a Catholic way. And then the bishop comes out, I'm really sorry, this priest that was filling in spoke a little bit of Catholicism that you hadn't heard in a while. Sorry, please go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Catholics, we don't want you waking up here. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Forget about faith and morals and sin and that type of thing. That's old stuff. I mean, am I the only one that doesn't think we live in a strange time in the church? I really wonder sometimes. I just wonder. Now, if the SSBX were opening up 20 churches in Panama, and there was tens of thousands were going over to them, but it's one small shed at the side of a church, of a house, with a priest that probably flies in to say the mass the odd time. It's one small shed at the side of a house. Maybe they've opened a priory there. I'm not sure. But of all of the threats to the faith, are they the ones that are? Because they do recognise the Pope. They have some of the best defences against sedevacantism in the SSBX, because they created that movement. That's the offshoot from them. So I suppose they had to defend the Pope in the end. Otherwise, they become Protestants. But there are problems there. But I wonder sometimes when I see things that come out from Rome and from bishops, that they'll issue this communique, be careful of these. When you've tens of thousands of Panamanian Catholics who join the Protestant church every single year. Wake up. Wake up. That's what my message to bishops is, and to Rome is to really wake up. What faith are you giving us? What faith do you actually stand for? What faith? Please, can somebody just give us the Catholic faith? Black and white. Tell us what you actually believe in and what we're called to actually believe in. I would really love to hear in 2023 Catholic bishops standing up and proclaiming what is the actual faith. From the pulpits, in the churches, tell us what you actually believe in. There were so many Catholics that got annoyed here in Ireland in 2018 when priests started voting for abortion. They were shamelessly voted for abortion for the other camp and allowed people who were proposing that to use Catholic churches. That happened in Ireland. And, where are we going? Where are we going? Is the traditional Latin Mass the biggest threat to the Catholic Church, I wonder? As I said, I don't want to divide the church. It's not that I'm saying we should return just to the traditional Latin Mass, but I find it still very beautiful. I find it profoundly challenges me. The traditional Latin Mass has profoundly challenged me. That sacred encounter, that moment of silence, the beautiful moment to enter into that silent meditation, that silent encounter of the sacrifice of the Mass. It is always profoundly meant something to me. I don't know why. And I've gone to Latin Mass for so many years, the Novus Order in Latin. But there is something in the traditional Latin Mass. There's something in that form of worship that tugs at your soul. So I know Panama's far away, but when I see this news come out, I just said, wow, it's very interesting. It's very interesting what bishops get annoyed with. That they will get so annoyed with a Latin Mass said ineffectively in a shed over the fact that thousands and thousands of Catholics in Panama, I would say 500,000. If you look at the decline in Catholicism and the rise in Protestantism in Panama, I would say 500,000 of Catholics are now Protestants in Panama. And yet what? What is your response to that? We look in Ireland, rampant secularism. It's obvious to see. Everybody sees where we're going. Of the 2,000 chapels that we have in Ireland, half of them will need to close because we won't have the funds or the people to maintain them the way we are going in Ireland. But, interesting times. Pray for the church. Pray for the church. But I do hope bishops and priests will stand up and preach and teach and live the Catholic faith and lead souls, be leaders in the faith. Maybe I'll do a video in Spanish for the Panamanian bishops. It'll probably reach there, but I thought it was interesting over this commotion in Panama over a chapel in a shed. In reality, God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.